Oh, no, changing angles. Nice, okay.
That's better, you're right way up now.
Well, there's only one way to do this. And that's
Goddamn, I think I'm stuck again. Lost cold, it's time to sink or swim. Blacked out, I end up on my back, and I know that I should stop. Come on and cut me some slack. When will this end? But I try again. The same good, yet it still feels like I'm failing. I know this isn't fun, but I'm stuck in a rut. And it's nice of you to forgive me. Knocked out by a thought of a spirit. I'll be fine, just give me a minute. I'm too old to live, I'm too young to die. I'm too young to die. I'm too old to live, I'm too young to die. I'm too young to die. Another day and I still feel like shit. I need a pill, something to help me quick. Cause all the things I did the night before have left me wanting nothing yet somehow I do more. I want the razor's edge between my life and death. And a few times I lost the claim that I'm trying. Don't let him see you sweat, now let him feel the heat. I'm an animal and I can't be caged. Knocked out by a fall of a spirit. I'll be fine, just give me a minute. I'm too old to live, I'm too young to die. I'm too young to die. I'm too old to live, I'm too young to die. I'm too young to die. I'm too young to. And I'm too old to live, I'm too young to die. I'm too young to die. I'm too old to live, I'm too young to die. I'm too young to die. God, I'm too young to die.
That was scary.
It was great.
Thank you. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Go, shoot.
So what's your favorite song, each of you, in the album?
On the records.
Yes.
Sam, you go first here.
I love You Can't Rely. If you've heard that, that was the last one that we wrote before we went into the studio, pretty much.
Kind of wrote it in there, didn't we?
We kind of wrote it during the whole process. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I like it because it's kind of fresh and new. I mean, it changes every kind of like week or so.
I think You Can't Rely is like one of the tracks on the record where, because we wrote it like so late on into like going into the process of doing it and so on, it's kind of like, it was one of those tracks where we got to kind of go a bit bigger and explore a little bit more, sound-wise and stuff. And I think for us it like very much took us back to like, it was very much like a song, you know, that we loved, and it was more sort of like a talent-esque and like keeping it like sort of getting a bit funky with it, I suppose. Like it's a lot of like, there's a lot of funk to it, and that's quite fun. And like Jimmy rides the bell beautifully on that song. Nice one, Jimmy. Roland, what's your favourite
I
track?
love playing Washed Out. Washed Out is like a really aggressive track. Really get lost in it. So yeah, I love that song.
Mine's You Can't Rely as well.
You Can't Reply.
Yeah.
Jim?
I like For the Thrill of It.
Nice. Yeah.
A good one.
I like As Yet Untitled, actually. It's like one of those tracks that I think everyone in the band gets like a moment to sort of shine. Jimmy's got the most redonkulous drum fill in that as well. Basically, the album is all about Jimmy. Being totally honest, like he kind of shines through on the record more than anybody else, which is, you know, kudos to Jim. Hats off to you, mate. You know, I couldn't do that. So yeah, anyone else got another question?
Can you explain the cover?
Can I explain the cover? Yeah, I can explain what happened with the cover. Well, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, it means, I mean, the album, I think, and like a lot of when I wrote the records and when we started this band, I did feel very like isolated in terms of where I was in the world and all that kind of stuff, and emotionally as well. So the cover inspiration was the idea of isolation. You know, juxtaposing the title, which is "Together We Are Stronger." The cover was shot by us. We shot the cover. We kind of like, in terms of the artwork and the way that the albums come together, we did it. Like, we did all that, which is kind of amazing and kind of it's a weird feeling for us because we've held on to it for so long, and like it's like belongs to us so much that like, and we're so happy to give it to you guys. Like, don't get me wrong, like it's an amazing feeling, but like it is a very like personal thing from the writing process all the way through to the very end of it. But in terms of what the cover actually means, it's the idea of isolation juxtaposing the title.
So today's pretty scary.
Today is a very terrifying day. Yeah, it's really nerve-wracking. Yeah, I'm trying to keep calm. Jimmy and Sam are staying at mine at the moment because Sam lives in Copenhagen and Jimmy's from the north. And I walked into Jimmy and Sam's room this morning. I was like, how am I supposed to feel today? Like, should I am I meant to?
I was tweeting at like 20 minutes to midnight. So Jamie, 20 minutes.
Bless you. Yeah, we're so happy, and like it's great to finally have it out. You know, to finally have it out there because we kind of finished it.
In Australia that's been following you for like 4 years, and they've been dying for an album. Obviously, waiting for you to go there and tour now. So.
Yeah, we need to get over that. The thing is, it's a long fucking way. It's a long way. And like we're getting more and more like stuff as we like continue as a band. Like, hopefully we can get all our stuff over. Either that, or just have to borrow it from somebody. Cool. Should we do another track?
Yeah.
Should we do Lost Everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is ropey though. Wait, I need to get the pill. Okay, cool.
Okay, you're ready. Sounds good.
Okay.
What's the chorus?
Cool. All right. Try this. See how this goes.
Shut up. I'm talking to you, so shut your mouth, darling. I'm trying to get a little respect and make some sense of all the things you said you'd do, but never come explain now. Begin, please now, begin. You're clawing at walls of my prison cell. I'm done being under your spell. This is where love lies alone. This is where hope dies, and I hope you know the promise you broke to come home again. Shattered my dreams, you've lost everything. Save your breath, 'cause I don't wanna hear the words you say. Through it feeling like a pawn, 'cause I'm a man, and that I've learned. Now I know that I cannot be played in your game. Go play your games. I'm done being treated like second best. But I'm sorry, this is the end. This is where love lies alone. This is where hope dies, and I hope you know the promise you broke to come home again. I shattered my dreams, you've lost everything.
shattered my dreams, you've lost everything.
This is where love lies alone. This is where hope dies, and I hope you know. Promise you hope to come home again. I've shattered my dreams, you've lost everything. This is where love lies alone. This is where hope dies, and I hope you know. Promise you hope to come home again. I've shattered my dreams, you've lost everything.
Cool. Hello.
Hello.
Do you need a moment? You're good. Well, I feel like I need a fucking moment. Has anyone got any more questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
What was the idea about choosing the band name Counterfeit?
It's a very good question, and one that we've desperately tried to avoid for a long time. No, it's totally fine. I mean, it's a hard question to answer because I think for a lot of bands, like a lot of their names don't mean something, and a lot of their names mean something. I suppose like some of it came out of the idea that, and if I'm being brutally honest, I think some of it came out of the idea that like going from doing what I do in my other job to doing this, you know, this could be seen as, I suppose, like a bit of a jaunt and a bit of like fakery. So I suppose in that sense there's a slight bit of irony to it, but that wasn't necessarily it wasn't necessarily like a conscious decision to do that or to like rebel in that sort of way. I think it just happened naturally, because obviously the word itself means fake, or the idea of fake, or some things that are not. But it kind of just appeared out of thin air. If I'm being brutally honest, it just like there were lots of things going. In fact, I was actually down the road when I thought of the name. I was at the Tesco, which is in Soho, the Tesco Express. I was working around the corner. There's a theatre around the corner. I was working there, and I was walking back, and I was like, "Oh, that feels right," and it just felt right. You know, it was just one of those things that just happened. And I'm a big believer in that. I'm a big believer in when something feels right to go for it, not to like force it or anything. But there were other names chucked around. You know, I'm a bit of a, you know, I like long song titles and stuff like that. So, you know, she used to love me and now she doesn't. And this one's about, you know, this one's about my gym class teacher. Yeah. So it kind of answers your question. Anyone else?
Yeah. First of all, congratulations. The album is fucking great.
Thank you.
To be honest. You got a lot of success pretty quickly. How does that feel, and can you keep up with it?
How does it feel? I mean, obviously, it's incredibly overwhelming. Like, all of us have played music for a long time in like various different bands, and I've played shows where like no one's turned up. You know, my first gig that I ever played was in a pub in Hounslow, and I was like 16, and I was playing drums in this band. So, I think we were all kind of prepared for it to be the same way. You know, for it to be that sort of, you go out, you play to nobody, and you just keep fucking going, and like you do it because you love it. You know, you don't do it for any other reason. So the sort of like instant, I suppose, like acknowledgement of what we were doing was incredibly overwhelming, and it can say, I suppose it could sound like a little disingenuous or whatever, but like we really are like honoured and like, very touched by that. Do we think we can keep it going? By fucking Christ, we need to try. Like, that's, you know, for us, we are so, you know, this is our first record, and that in itself is an amazing feat. The fact that we've been able to make an album. I've never made a record before. I've played in like 5 different bands, so this is kind of insane to be able to make a record. So we'll just continue to like churn out music and hope that people like it, I suppose, in a way. And like, if not, great, we'll just continue to churn out music anyway, and people will hate it. That's cool. I'm down with either one, really, as long as we get to continue to make the music.
I hope to see you at the Kerrang Awards.
Hey, yeah, they're all in here. Or if they all left. Is everyone like really upset with what we've done now, and the whole office is just like dispersed. Fuck this shit. Like, let's go get a coffee. Cool. And then, so I guess we'll do one more, which I'd like to be more of like a shared experience with you guys, if that's all right. If we can sing it all together, if anyone knows it. We're going to do Left to the Lost.
Yes.
Keen to do that. Yeah.
That's pretty epic to do that.
Yeah, it's a big song. So there's a song, yeah, it's the last song on the record for those who haven't heard it, and
I'm gonna attend to
yeah, so we'll give this a shot. So. I still think about your childhood and the future you did waste. I guess you felt you don't belong here, and that haunts me every day. And I know that I get lonely when I think about you smile. Moments when I know I could have helped or should have tried. And I'm sorry I get angry when I know what you have lost. You're not alone. So many things I wish I'd known. And I know where you belong, and it's not here upon this earth. I just wish you could have told me and not given me this curse. And I know that I get lonely when I think about your smile. And there's moments when I know I could have helped or should have tried. And I'm sorry I get angry when I know what you have lost, but now you're home. Sorry I get angry when I know what you have lost, but this fear that builds inside came at a cost. 'Cause now you're home. And now you're home. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing this personal moment with us.
Thank you. No, please, that's what it should be all about. So, anyone got any more questions? You alright, big man? Anyone got any more questions? Yes.
What inspires you the most for writing?
What inspires me the most? I mean, this album and like this music. I've just got some chocolate on my fingers. I don't know. So that was like who as I was sitting down. I mean, this album like came from a place of raw honesty, and if you haven't read this, Ian Winwood, who wrote this, is like fucking incredible, and it describes a lot of like what I suppose the record is about. Like, I basically like cleaned up my whole act a bit and decided to approach life in a different fashion. And upon doing that, there was a point where everything like came flooding in, like everything that I'd been like holding on to for like 25 years, 26 years of my life just fucking came at me at once. And that was a really inspiring moment. And like that definitely inspired like a lot of the songs and a lot of the tracks and what we do. But then in terms of like what inspires me to keep going is I like art, like a lot of art. I mean, artists like, I went to go see Raymond Pettibon, who's this amazing California artist, but I think he's now living in New York. But he designed the Black Flag logo, and he is like, I suppose what you would sort of consider like a punk artist in a weird way, even though like some of his other work is a bit more about the ocean and about the sea and stuff like that. And he did a lot of what's called like automatic writing, which started in, I think I'm right in saying that it started in like the sort of Dadaist art movement, where basically what you do is you just put a pen in front of you, or not a biro at that time, but you know what I mean. Get something, bit of chalk, quill. I still write with a quill, and you just go. And I do that a lot. Like I tend to do that. Like I carry a book around a lot. It's just a sketchbook, and in it was just various like moments and scribblings and writing. But pain is inspiring. Hurt is inspiring. I like to focus on the sort of more negative side of life, the more negative aspects of life, because I think that for me and for where we're at, like in terms of this album and stuff, it's like it's very much like there's a card slap on the table, like the floor we're fucked up. Like,
Yeah, that prepares you so that sort of no one can sort of not keep.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, it's not. I think it's more about like breaking down the wall, really. I think if you like put a wall up in front of you, you constantly are trying to keep people out. Like you're constantly trying to keep people on the other side of that wall. Whereas if you get rid of it, sure, there are certain things that are like, you know, I don't think it's necessary to shout because it's boring. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's dull. But I think that if we can go out there and we can be like, yo, like we fucked up, like everyone fucks up, you know. Anyone can fuck up, and anyone can, you know, can be flawed and broken, and I suppose that's kind of like what a lot of the record is about. And yeah, it's about taking down that walls to let people in, and that's where the fear comes. Is when you're like, I think when you're being so honest with people that there is nowhere to hide, and if people don't like you, it's because people don't like you. It's not because they don't like the kind of person that you're trying to be. So it's a difficult one for sure to be in with. Anyone else?
Hi. Congratulations.
Thank you.
With the album. First off, I want to know what would be your biggest dream now?
I don't know. I mean, this week's been mental. You know, this has happened, which is fucking crazy. Thank you, Kerrang. Like, that's mad.
Congratulations on Reading.
And Reading and Leeds has happened. The album's out. I mean, we might as well just pack it in. Sack it off. Like, let's just not bother. I think the biggest dream really for this and for what we're doing right now, and I think most musicians would say this, but is to take it as far as it can possibly go, and just to keep going, like just to keep on hammering at it, and to keep playing, and keep making records, and to keep writing. To keep writing would be is a massive thing for me right now. We've been so wrapped up in like the whole record stuff, and we only got back in a room together to play music again like 4 days ago, you know.
We all here.
Oh, bless you.
We go out in Copenhagen and try to spread the word with my friends.
Bless you. That means so much. Thank you. Honestly, like it's that is bonkers to me. Like it's an amazing thing. But yeah, I think the dream is to just keep going and just to keep playing and to keep writing. And you know, it's such an enjoyable experience. And I'm kind of just going to go off on one now, but like when this band first started, when we were out playing shows, there was just like, it was wicked because there was this like constant struggle. Like it did feel like everything was just like fucking just hanging in there by a thread. And I think we've still managed to keep that, but at the same time we've been able to like really have a lot more fun with it now as well, and like enjoy ourselves and just play the tunes, because the record's out now, so we don't have to worry about the songs. Like, we don't have to worry about that, you know. We can just go out there and like really connect with it rather than having to be like, yo, but this is it, you know. It's like now it's like, right, well, let's really get to the heart of it.
I'm really excited to see what's to come.
Bless you. Are you guys, is anyone coming tonight?
Yeah.
To this store? Wicked, it's going to be fun.
I'll be there and tomorrow.
And tomorrow at Fighting Cocks, that's going to be cool as well. I have a feeling tonight might get a bit messy. It's our album launch. It'd be amazing if Jimmy even turns up. Hey Jim. Hey Han. Yes. Hello.
Hi.
Have you flown from Italy?
Yeah.
You're insane. Go on.
Are you proud of yourself, of your album, of your work?
Boys?
Very. Yeah, very. Like, you know, it's been a long time coming. We've been playing music together for how long? 3 years now.
2 months according to one interview. Someone in a magazine was like, yeah, after only playing music together for 3 months. I was like, what?
Way wrong.
I don't know where you got that from.
Yeah, like 3 years we've been playing music together, some of us. So like, it's been a long time coming from that first show where, you know, people turned up and it was all this little buzz. It's progressed, and now, yeah, like, you know, the weird time is like having the album recorded, but not being able to like listen to it, not being able for you guys to listen to it, like release it. So it's really good now that it's out. We're proud. It's done with. You can forget about it and move on to the next one, I guess.
Forget about it.
Yeah, forget about it. That's it. It's like, oh.
Roland's already put his copy in the bin. He's never even listened to it. It's like, it's done. Vinyl bin. Done. Game over.
Yeah, your interaction on Twitter, all of it, is fantastic, and I think when we keep that going, that's going to really help.
Well, I think there's a blessing and a curse to social media. I think, you know, social media can be used in a way that's like, you know, perpetrating a myth, you know, and perpetrating something that you're not. And with us, you know, if anyone watched that Snapchat story yesterday, I don't think any of us are trying to be anything.
But that's what the appeal is.
Yeah, right.
So,
yeah. Well, I guess that's what to see is it's like we all like to sort of connect on a real basis, really, isn't it? It's
You're
like,
all just human.
yeah, exactly. We're all fucking human. Nobody's special. Do you know what I mean? Apart from Sam, he's really special.
And would you say that social media is making it easier for a new band to come up?
No, someone asked me this the other day. I mean, social media allows you. It's an opportunity and it's a tool for you to be able to like spread your message quicker.
Yeah.
But you think of a room of like, okay, so say you live in a room of 100 people, and you make something artistically, and you show it to those 100 people. Not all of those 100 people are going to like it, you know. And it's exactly the same with social media. It's just on a larger scale. You're still living in that sort of what would effectively be a microcosm, but it's the world, you know. So it doesn't make it easier by any means, because art is still divisive in a way, because it's all down to the individual's taste. It just allows you to be able to put it out there and for people to experience it, you know, perhaps in an easier way than it was 20 years ago. You know, I grew, like, as I'm sure you did, you know, we grew up in that time where MySpace was sort of coming in and all that kind of shit. You know, like, but MySpace was huge, you know, like without MySpace, sort of bands like the Arctic Monkeys and like even other bands like the Ordinary Boys and stuff like that wouldn't have really sort of like blown up in the way that they did. Music was consumed in a different way, and that's just the way that it is now. And you can either call it a blessing or a curse. I don't really mind, but it's the way that it is. So kind of roll with it or don't. And I'm not adverse to it at all.
So you're more kind of forced to use it?
No, not at all. I wouldn't say we're forced to use it. Like, if we didn't want to use it, we wouldn't use it. It's not. You're not forced to use it by any means, shape, or form. Like, if you don't want to use it, great. Don't use it. But like, for us, and I think that in terms of like the people in this room right now, you know, we're all international people, you know, and we're all not going to have the opportunity to be able to like see things or hear things on a sort of, you know, face-to-face basis the whole time. So something like that allows us to spread what we do with you. So it's like, it's important to us to give it to you guys more than anything, not to gain new people, but give it to you.
But when you do it, it gives the sense of authenticity. You
Well,
guys are
Thank you. That's the myth we've been trying to perpetrate.
It worked.
Yeah, exactly. We got you. Ha! No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Anyone else? We got time for one more, Jen? One more?
Is there anywhere you want to take your music in the future?
Anywhere I want to take it. Sort of like country-wise, or like in terms of like
Take it to another country, or do you want to progress it like Panic at the Disco?
sound-wise. Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm not sure about like changing it entirely. I am a massive fan of any band or any artist who develops over time. I think that the record that we've made itself, we at least tried to sort of go on a journey. Like there are some sort of just like straight up like I guess what you would refer to as like punk fucking like rock songs, but then there's other songs that's like where it's a bit more funky or it's a bit slower. So I think that bleed, that sort of process in terms of where we started to where we finished writing on the album will continue to album 2. So I think we're all up for, you know, finding new sounds and finding new experiences in terms of musically, but definitely still keep the heart and soul of what this is, you know, in terms of having it sound like, you know, it's 5 guys in a room thrashing out, you know, with that sort of like slightly sort of shiny edge, you know, to it. So yeah, but trumpet solos I'm not sure will appear very much on the next album. A bongo solo might appear. I'd like to see a bongo or 4. But yeah, we'll keep going. I think the next album, we'll be going further and we'll need to push ourselves more. But that's exciting, you know, to push yourself is an exciting thing. To fail is exciting. Failure is great, by the way, just in case anyone's wondering. Failure is fucking awesome. Like, from failure can come the most incredible things. So, we'll try. We might not put out the failures. There'll be some. I've got some on my iPhone. Failures. Yeah. Sweet. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for coming. I'm just going to volunteer the guys for this now, but we've got like 10 minutes or so if people want to get anything signed or photographs or whatever. I'm sure the guys will be accommodating. Please don't all rush at once. We'll get everyone